Hello and welcome to my tutorial on Assessment 1 Task 4. So it's about apportionment and reapportionment and basis of apportionment. So let's have a look at the question A first. Crest Paints Limited calculates depreciation on a reduce imbalance basis and allocates apportions other overheads using the most appropriate basis for each. A. Complete the table below to identify a suitable basis for allocating or apportioning each overhead by selecting the most appropriate option from the drop-down list. So let's have a look. First of all, we have depreciation of mixing equipment and we have carrying value of mixing equipment, which is what we're looking for. They might call it net book value or they might call it the carrying amount. In this case, they've got carrying amount of mixing equipment and carrying amount of canning equipment. Now this is depreciation of mixing equipment, so it's the carrying value of mixing equipment. Okay. Then we have rent and rate of product departments. Now rent and rate, you need to think of the factory as a whole, and each department has a certain part of it, which means we could split it up via floor space, doesn't it? So if we have a look, factory floor space, and you have head office floor space as well, but this is factory floor space. Okay, so it's to do with the production. Quality control costs. Well, if you look through here, you have number of quality control inspections. If you get an overhead that you're not familiar with, often the basis of apportionment is quite obvious. Look, number of quality control inspections, so you can work it out via that. Then you have canning equipment maintenance costs, right? Canning equipment maintenance costs, replacement. Let's have a look. Time spent servicing canning equipment. That's what it would be, wouldn't it? So that they'd be able to split it, the maintenance done, based on how much time they spent doing it. And then canning equipment insurance costs. Now insurance is not often done off of net book value or carrying amount. So this is canning equipment, carrying value of canning equipment. And that is how you go about deciding the basis of apportionment. Next we're going to go on to have a look at part B, where we do a reapportionment. Right, so let's have a look at part B, which is about reapportioning. Okay, so it starts off by saying Crest Paints Limited has already allocated and apportioned its current overhead costs for the next quarter, as shown in the table below. These costs have yet to be reapportioned to the two profit centres of paint manufacture and canning and packing. The General Administration Department services the two profit centres, the maintenance department and the stores department. So they're straight away saying that general admin doesn't just go directly to the paint manufacturer and canning and packing, it also gets a portion between stores and maintenance. So let's find out by how much. These costs are then reapportioned 40% to manufacturer profit centre, 40% canning and packing, 10% each to manufacturer and stores. So, and over here in the table it shows that the total for general admin was 674,000. So the first thing to do is to minus that away, okay? Because you need general admin to now be on 0, because you're going to spread it across the rest, meaning this needs to be on 0. We now need to get 10% for stores, which is 67,400, and they said it was also 10% for maintenance of this 674,000. Okay, now canning and packing and paint manufacturer, it said 40%. Okay, it said 40%. So we need to times 40% by the 674, and we get 269,600. Okay, so now that's been reapportioned. So now we need to reapportion stores, but if you look, it doesn't actually get reapportioned to maintenance at all. It's just canning and packing and paint manufacturer. And if we read over here, look, the stores cost a reapportion on the basis of inventory requisitions. The paint manufacturer profit centre expects to have 8,280 requisitions, and the canning and packing profit centre expects to have 5,520 requisitions. So it's a ratio. Okay, so the ratio is 8,280, and that is to paint manufacturer, but we're just going to put paint, yeah, and to canning it is 5520. Okay, now the total, let me make these all the same size so you can see what I'm doing. Yeah, right, paint and canning, and then total. Okay, right, is them two added together. Okay, now the ratio, to work out the percentage, you just need to get, this is the paint percentage and this will be the canning percentage. Okay, you just get how many requisitions from paint and divide it by the total requisitions, and you get 0.6 or 60%, which means canning will be 40, but we can double check that by doing 5520 divided by the total, and you get the 0.4 to prove that it is indeed 40%. Okay, so now all we got to do is apportion this amount, but first of all we need to total up, get the total apportioned amount to stores, and then add on the reapportionment for general administration. Okay, so we just need to add these together. Okay, and you get 403,400. That needs to be a negative number, don't forget. Okay, so it's minus 403,400, and we now need to do 60% of 403,400. Okay, we need to do 40%, sorry, to canning and packing, and we get that number, and then we need to do 60%. We need to do 60% times by 60%, and we get 242040. And now stores has now been reapportioned to paint manufacturing, canning and packing. Now all we've got to do is reapportion maintenance. First thing we need to do is add these two together. Okay, so and then we'll turn it into a negative number. Yeah, so let's just do this quickly. Times by -1. Yeah, so now we know. Right, let's see how we're reapportioning it. The maintenance department reapportions costs on the basis of maintenance hours. The paint manufacturer profit center expects to use 7,000 maintenance hours. So paint manufacturer is 7,000, and canning and packing expects to use 5,500. So it's the same thing again, it's a ratio. So we got paint, we got canning, we got total, we got paint for the percentage, and we got canning for the percentage. Yeah, and we're going to do the same thing again. Right, so paint was 7,000 hours, canning was 5,500 hours, so the total is that plus that, which is 12,500. Yeah, now the percentage is the 7,000 divided by the total 12,500, get 0.56. So this should be 0.44, but let's double check. 5,500 divided by 12,500, 0.44. There we go. And that's what we're going to be timesing the maintenance. But first things first, okay? Well, no, we got the number, so it's 423,400 times by 0.56 or 56%. That actually is meant to be in there. Okay, and we're supposed to do 0.44 times by 423,400. Okay, and we end up with 186. Yeah, 296. Right, so now all we need to do is the final thing is the total. Okay, so we get this and then add on these three. Okay, so it's pretty simple, just to add these four things together and we get that cost, and then equals sum again of all of these, and you end up with these two amounts. Now, to double check that you've reapportioned everything correctly, I like to do that plus that, and it needs to add up to the same amount, and as you can see, comes up to the same amount, so that our test, when we do the total overheads of the profit centres, add them together, it should come up to the total cost that we had originally of 4,058,000. But that's how you do task B anyway. Now let's see what comes up in the rest of the questions in the task. Right, so this is part C of task 4. And here it goes. Another overhead is machine running costs. The estimated cost for the next quarter is 630,000. So I mark that straight down. Total overhead 630,000. Yeah. Which consists of a fixed element and a variable element. Okay. The fixed element is 60%. So over here I put 60%, and the variable element will therefore be 40%. Okay. So what we need to do is work out what fixed is. So if we said 630 times by the 60%, yeah, you end up with 378,000. And if you did the 630,000 times by the 40%, you get 252,000. So now we have the fixed and the variable elements all worked out, yeah, of the total overheads. Now there's an extra split to do, okay? The fixed element of the total cost is to be apportioned between paint manufacturing, which I've got ready here, and canning and packing, which I've got ready here, in the ratio 56 to 44. And 56 plus 44 equals 100, so you could look at that as 56% and 44%. So if we said paint equals its fixed element times by 56%, you'd get 211. And canning, you could say 378 times by the 44%, and you'd get 166. And you could just double check that you've done that right by making sure that these two add up to that fixed element. Okay, and if you can see they do, so that means that's correct. So now we need to do the same thing for the variable element, is apportioned to the ratio 62-38. They add up to 100 again, so that's just 62% and 38%. Yeah. So what we can say is the variable total times by 62% and equals the variable element times by 38. And we get that. And we'll do our check again just to make sure I didn't do anything wrong. And they add up to 250,000 the same way. So now we can answer the question. Look, the fixed element of the machine running cost, so we've got the fixed, will be apportioned to the paint manufacturer. So we've got fixed paint, 211,680. So that's what we would answer here. And the variable element and the machine running cost, that will be apportioned, the variable element to canning and packing, 95,760. That's what would be in here. So that is how you answer all questions for assessment 1 task 4 in the AAT mock exams. Check out the rest of my videos that are coming out. We'll be doing every single task from both practice assessments from the AAT mocks. Anyway, check you later, bye.